Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Coney, your Art Sherpa, and today I am going to be coming to you showing you how, if you're here in the North American continent, how you can paint a cactus in winter. On the mic is my husband John.
Hey guys.
This was a design I had done a little while ago, just experimentally, and you guys had really liked it, and then I didn't get in the schedule, and then a bunch of crazy stuff happened. So I just said, hey, do you guys mind painting it now? And you said, no, that's cool. We'll paint that painting right now, too. So for all the prickly pears out there in the world, this painting is definitely for you and is certainly inspired by the trip we were just on to Pinners in Utah and Arizona because we saw a lot of this along the way, and I ate all the prickly pear. Uh,
Hmm.
let's go over our materials. Hopefully the sound, you guys are noticing the sound is, look what we replaced, which is why we're a little slow today because we were replacing the sound.
Amazon delivered right before the show, so I was like, "Oh, I'm plugging it
So
in."
exciting because otherwise I sound like I'm talking in a can, which is okay because I can still teach art from the can, but
This is better.
this is better. All right, so I have a 9 by 12. This is an ampersand gesso board, but you could use a 9 by 12 canvas of any kind. It could be stretched, it could be paper, it could be a particle board. Whatever you're painting on today, of course, is certainly fine. We have wishes on this for all the prickly pear people, all those prickly people, to find their friends, their family, and their love, so that they have lots of people surrounding them. Love and support for all the animal rescuers and for those who foster pets, especially those special needs pets. I've been on a binge of little, little but what is it? Little but ferocious, little but brave. I don't know. I've been binging with my daughter, and I'm like, yay to the foster family! So I just had to shout them out. All Sherpas and all Sherclaws to have love. So that all the animals around the world that we remember that we're sharing this space with other living creatures, and that whatever we do in our life, that we do so compassionately and aware. So those are the wishes for today,
Yes.
which is pretty darn fun, I
Ooh,
think.
wishing,
Wishing. All right.
wishing.
Yeah, you were right. You totally predicted it. All right. So the colors today are quinacridone magenta, cad yellow medium, titanium white, phthalo green, phthalo blue, burnt sienna, Mars black. I have an extra pop of titanium white. And then I have this fluid titanium white, which you know I love, and my dotting tool so I can get my little cactuses on. The other sort of fun tool I'm going to be using today is this filbert. I'm going to be using my filberts to get the flowers. You can get these in my portrait set, but you can also find filberts a lot of places. It's a pretty common brush. This is a number 2. So that's the size we're going for. You guys ready to be doing it? Yeah?
I think
Okay.
so. Yeah.
So I'm going to sketch this in paint,
In paint? That's
and
awfully
then
bold.
you guys are going to see how I draw that in. And then, but there is a traceable on the website. If you're like, I don't draw, why you don't make me draw? I came to paint. It's okay. We got you. All right, so the first thing is I got to get my paint drawing color, and I'm going to use my background color to draw in. So I'm going to make my phthalo turquoise, which is 1 part blue and 1 part green. All right, I'm going to mix those up together thoroughly with my artist knife here. Palette knife, artist knife. Really, it's a cranked trowel artist knife, but we're not fussy like that here.
Hmm.
All right, and I'll get some into my white already because, you know, we want this nice background color to be even. For this effect, you have to either thoroughly mix your background color ahead of time, or you have to buy this color pre-mix, like Golden's teal or Artist Loft 3's teal would be a pretty good version of this if you didn't want to mix it. You can see what I'm doing is I'm thoroughly mixing, which is different than what I normally do, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm making way too much of it
Now, why?
because I want it to be slightly lighter.
No, you talk. Can you talk about that? Because sometimes you're like, don't mix it thoroughly. Leave it
Well, I'm
rough.
not saying don't mix it thoroughly. Like, I'm just saying for that one technique, that one's brush stroke, you want to have it marbled or loosely mixed.
Yeah.
But
It's
for
like,
smooth, even tone background, like what this cactus has, you would want your paint to be fairly well mixed so that it gives you that nice flat matte effect. I think that's pretty good. Don't you guys think that's pretty good?
yeah.
All right. So hopefully I'm in there. That was my arm workout for today. And I'll just use this number 2 filbert to sort of sketch it in. I think these are really fun to do. And if you're trying to get into that space where, like, oh, I really want to learn how to draw things in, this is a good one to sort of be brave about because the shapes are fairly simple and pretty friendly. That being said, just because the shapes are simple and beginner friendly doesn't mean that everyone's going to have the same experience. So if you're having a different experience, don't think that, oh, you're not creative or, oh, you're not artistic. Just be like, okay, this one thing is kind of weird for me, but I'm going to practice it and I'll get through. That's kind of how that works. All right, so first we're going to put in our little pot in the top. And what I like to do is to measure in my breaks. So I'm going to come, let's say 2 fingers from the bottom because I need space for a shadow, and 3 fingers from the top. And my whole composition, I really don't want to be too much past those marks, right? So I'm giving myself room to make things, is what said. I'm even going to just put this here. When I want to do my pot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the bottom and I'm going to make a curved line, like the painting has a little bit of a secret Mona Lisa smile going on. And it's just about a hand width wide. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make another line, and it's going to be, let's see, almost a whole hand width up. So I'm going to make that mark there so I can see that. And I'm going to make my little ridge. On something like this, don't feel like you've got to be perfect. I'm going to be very loose and sketchy. And I can do that because my background color is what I'm sketching in with. Never be afraid to sketch in with paint. It's just paint. Just
Loose
paint.
and sketchy. I like that.
Be sketchy, right? Do a little sketching. Sketching, which is like squatching.
I'm doing that a lot.
Right, now I'm going to come get my little terracotta pot. Maybe I'm going to join it down here. And see, I make little lines. That's sort of how I get in a pot shape. Basic little pot shape. Does that mean I might not be altering some things about it? Sure, I might, but you know, it's just about sketching that in. I make little adjustments here, right? To say, oh, I've got that kind of blocked in, kind of worked out. It's a pot. This is really fun. I like the cactus part of building this because the first thing I got to do is I got to build these little succulent parts that go up. And so I'm gonna take my little, and I'm gonna make a little cactus shape. This one's a little bit littler than the others, so maybe I'll bring this down because he's a little fellow, even though he's got a flower. A little fellow.
There's some fascination about succulents right now.
They're just, dude, my daughter is so about it.
Make the teenagers squeal with joy.
Teenagers love them some succulents and some cactuses. I think it's because they relate to cactus a little
They're
bit.
little prickly people.
They're little prickly people, and they understand that prickly people need love too. The prickly
But
people.
just a little bit at a time.
Just a little bit of time because they're cactuses.
They
Don't
do.
love us too much. It's too much love, Mom. Too much love. All right, so I'm going to be like coming up here. And I'm going to be making another little, look at this little rounded finger hot dog shapes. They're really fun, aren't they? It's just really about stacking these little rounded fingers.
Those remind me like of Studio Ghibli characters.
They remind me of Studio Ghibli characters. Man, I love Studio Ghibli. All right, Studio Ghibli love aside. We're going to bring this little fellow right here. We're going to fill it in. We need to have a nice little cactus that's right here. It has its little shape, right? Its own distinctive little space. And you can shape these out once that you get them in and make them a little more interesting in any direction that you kind of want them to be. But no, you're like that. So I'm pretty okay with that. If you guys think it's pretty okay with your sketches, I think we can enjoy the happy business of just painting in the background with a flat color. I'm going to grab a bright. I'm going to get a number 10 Ruby Satin. You could use my number 10 Goldilocks brush. You could use anybody's number 10 bright. You just want a bright. You could even do what's pretty equivalent is a number 20 short handle. So any little bright will work. Right? You're just painting it in.
You know
So I'm going to just load up my brush. I'm dipping in the water. And you'll notice that I pull it in. About 2 to 3 drops will come out every time I pull out my water. And I'm flipping. Can you guys notice that I take the brush and then I flip it? This is how I load the paint into the belly. So besides the paint you see on the surface, there's a bunch that's in the belly of my brush. And I'm going to just come and paint this. Takes about 2 coats.
While you're putting those in, I was going to make a little comment on the difference between these two. I noticed that how much fuller the pot looks of little plants.
Yeah, I think I may have made it fuller.
And it looks so much happier when
Well.
it's like bursting with little plants. I was just noticing it looks cuter and more.
Oh,
like,
really? Okay.
I think it looks more like the pot's brimming with happy little plants.
Got a little dirt on my canvas. I just brushed it off. These got a little bit dirty.
So it's interesting, little changes to the composition can really make significant changes to how the final
Oh,
piece feels.
yeah, which is why I always say, oh, I'm not a portrait artist.
Hmm.
Even though I can paint people, portrait artists are very good at really nailing the exact little differences between people's features. Whereas I'm just like, oh, cool, I can paint features.
I can make eyes in the proportionate places.
Right? I'm always surprised when I get somebody like David Bowie or Daenerys Targaryen or anybody remotely looking like who they are. I'm like, wow, that worked out really well. But not surprised when I paint people well. And I think that's something that sometimes people don't understand, that in an art discipline, there's a lot of different skills and things that we get good at and other things that maybe we're not as proficient at, but that doesn't make us less artists.
Mm.
Got a comment from somebody. They were sharing that they were at a class and they mentioned me, and the instructor guffawed me or snorted at me
You
at my
have been
name.
guffawed.
They guffawed because they didn't think a lot of, I guess, what I'm doing. But what I would say is it's really strange in the art world to me when we do that, because we're all sort of in that same battle together. You know, we're all kinsmen in this journey, and I'm always surprised when people don't like just default to the, oh, let's respect each other based on what we're doing, because honestly, even as a new artist, you deserve respect. Just because you're new and you're learning the skills, and maybe the artist you're going to be in the future 5 years from now hasn't somehow miraculously popped out of yourself and onto the canvas, you're going to have to go through time like the rest of us mere mortals. Doesn't mean that you don't deserve like a lot of respect about where you're at. Just a thought that I have about that. No matter where you are in the journey, you deserve respect. I'm going to dry my canvas now that
Now,
I have.
well, this is interesting because Jennifer just asked a question which actually pertains to like some of my preconceived notions when I came into acrylic and painting and all that kind of stuff. And that, in short, what I feel like is that everything is different here and kind of has a reason and a rhyme to it. And if you take the time to understand the different things, there's a lot of really cool stuff. And it's not that it's necessarily making anything right or wrong. It's
Oh,
just
I see.
sometimes a little different.
Yeah. Okay. So, fact from a very experienced artist who came from an experienced artist whose grandmother was an experienced artist who had photographers and artists that went back all the way back to the Mayflower. Not even kidding. What bred this way. What I'm going to tell you is that there are a lot of ways to accomplish something. There isn't a right way and a wrong way to do it.
Now on
There
that,
is the right way and the wrong way for you.
now on that right there.
Yeah.
So Jennifer was asking, why paint the background second instead of first? So one of the things that I always that confused me is that why wouldn't you just paint a nice big even background and then paint your other colors over it? But there's a real genuine reason for that.
Yeah, I'm sketching it in so we
And
can see it.
and you like to leave that white space so that the other colors pop.
Right. These
And
we're gonna get these. We're gonna make sure that this blue isn't coming through. It would be fine, and we could totally do that. But if you're painting student paint at home, like sometimes I make decisions in my show because I know I'm painting with golden and Holbein Amethyst and really highly pigmented paint that just really support me in what I'm doing. But you might have something that's like less pigmented. You might have a student paint. You might have a basic paint. And it may not have as much pigment. So some of the decisions that I make are to help the people that I know are out there, but maybe I don't see, and the challenges I know they're probably going to be facing when they're making this from a kit that a family member got them to support their creative journey. Because there's the $29.99 kit on Amazon in the box, all the different art materials that everybody wants to buy, every burgeoning artist,
mm.
right? None of it has any pigment. So it's just like I always call it the box of artistic frustration.
It's exploration and learning about new chemical
It's
combinations.
exploration and learning about all the reasons why you have to make a good art product.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about that while you're
We'll
drying.
do another
You're drying.
thing like later. I'm gonna dry this painting.
Okay. So, yeah, just real quick, if you're using a student paint, especially a student paint or one of the budget paints that comes in a box, make sure you're using your air dryer on the lowest heat setting, because heat can induce color shift. It can induce cracking and shrinkage, especially on those more budget-oriented paints. On your pro paints, it's not so much a big deal, but it still can happen from time to time. And you know, yeah. So
I'm gonna do my second coat. You can keep talking.
oh, no, I
It's
was
just
just
second
saying.
coat time. I'm dipping in the water and I'm smoothing it out.
And you can see even here when Cinnamon's using a higher quality paint, we have to do a couple coats.
Yeah,
So
it's still streaky. And
and
if I want it to be flat, I have two choices. I can buy a fluid paint,
mhm.
which is about the consistency of a house paint, though it is not a house paint. So you could use a house paint. It
You
just
can
wouldn't be as
paint
light
with anything,
fast.
a stick, and
Yeah. But when I'm using a heavy bodied paint and I'm trying to get this very flat look, I find it's good to do a couple coats, especially over this type of background.
yeah.
Is all it is. So that's why I'm doing that. And you can kind of really see color shift here. So see, this is the paint wet and this is the paint dry. Can you see the one shade darker that it is?
Yep.
That's color shift. And I'm in a really good paint here.
Now, yeah, color shift happens as paint dries.
Yeah. And acrylic is prone to it. Watercolor tends to lighten, acrylic tends to darken. Now I don't want to get the oil artists all chuffed up because they already tend to be. But in all fairness to my oil brother and sisters out there in the art world, they have less of those problems. But your paint never dries, so haha. No, just kidding. Please don't remind me. I am literally just kidding. I have total respect for whatever medium you paint.
Yep.
There's
But
just differences.
we will poke fun equally at ourselves and everyone else.
Yeah, it's fun. It's not at expense. It's just fun, and that's the thing. You'll have to just realize that this is an enjoyable thing we're all doing. Have
We
fun
could
with it.
we could be we at least we're not like having to make our own paint.
Yes.
Here's some added trouble.
Yes. So glad that's not afoot. All right, so I've got to paint the rest of this in. To really do that, because these edges are wet, I'll dry it again, and I'll put John in that position where he gets to talk to you about something. Oh, we have the Van Gogh exhibit coming to Houston. Discuss.
That would be great, except she didn't tell me about the Van Gogh exhibit coming to Houston beforehand. So I'm just going to say I love all you guys. Thank you for coming and hanging out. And it's really awesome to have a Sunday afternoon. We get to hang out with you guys. And I love to be able to say that and spend this time. So thank you, thank you. Check out the website. I just put up the link in the description down below to the site. And you'll see that there's a hoot meter on there where you can... Ooh, wait, let me see if I can put it up. There it is, the hoot meter. You can go and vote on the website on the hoot meter and see, and as you guys vote, like Cinnamon will rate it as a 1 hoot, and you guys will say, no, I think it's a 2 hoot, and so it'll show you what she rated it as up there at the top, and then it'll show what you actually rated it as. So.
Oh yeah,
you're
meter. Allowed to argue with me totally. Only in this way.
I was telling about the hoot meter.
Yes.
So
only in this way. I'll just grab. I like to show you different types of brushes. Sometimes I'm picking them for a reason. I'm picking this actually for a reason. This is a number 8 Cambridge Bright, and I like this because it's really good at dry brushing. It has a mix of bristles and synthetic filaments, so it is not vegan, right? But I really like it. If you need a vegan brush, you would just do an all synthetic brush that's made from tackle. Just something you might not know. I'm going to dip in my water. I'm going to pull out my brown and my black. I'm going to work this in together. And it's going to make a dark chocolate color. And I'm going to just begin painting in the basis of my pot. Now I may go down a little bit, make the pot a little bit longer. I may leave it as it is. I am going to run my brush strokes the direction that implies that the pot is round. So if you'll notice that I'm going to come here and I'm going to curve these brush strokes. See what I'm doing? Curving them across. The scratchiness of the brush and the direction, let's get some water in there to improve flow. See how that's improving flow? That would not be dry brushing. There you go, just pulling it down. And you're just going to make sure that you're enjoying that. I love painting pots. Super therapeutic. Like brush, because it's just a little brown terracotta pot. So who doesn't love that? All right, I'm gonna get a
I
little bit of
like it.
my black on here, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna come under where I know I've got my lip a bit, and go ahead and just brush in this shadow while I'm here. See how it's a little bit darker? And I'm just making sure I've got a nice edge that makes me happy. And then I'm starting to talk about the values that I have in my pot values. In this little wonderful terracotta pot. And the shadows and shapes that I might have here. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
You know, so one of the benefits of the other types of brushes, the Bristlons and stuff, is that they give you a nice sharp edge, whereas the Cambridges give you more of a rough edge, a painterly edge. Those are things to think about when you're painting with them. Like you may have to come back. I will probably have to come back with a sharp edged object and balance it out with my scruffily object. And see, I'm just again coming along here. I got too much water in the mix, and that's the issue with bristles, is that they can carry too much water. So what you saw me do is wipe off my brush on a towel and then use that wicked out brush to pull up the paint.
Well, Jerry just finished her 9th painting with you.
Congratulations, Jerry. That is awesome.
You know what I have to say to that?
Woohoo. Dang, you're an artist, Jerry. How to become an artist?
I would
paint.
Yeah, like that certainly qualifies.
Now I'm going to go ahead and just sketch in my cactuses at this stage, right? Pretty dark. I'm going to pull up my green. I'm going to add a little blue to the green because it'll darken it up a bit. And I'm even going to grab some brown into it. I don't want too much. I just want to make it more of a forest green. And I'm going to begin the first level of the cactus.
Cacti level 1.
Cacti level 1. I love painting cactus. And my daughter loves it when I do it. So you guys are benefiting from me trying to impress my teenager. Don't you feel lucky? Impressing the teenager these days is hard. They're a rare wild creature. Grown adult trying to impress a teenager with art. That's what motherhood is like. Just brushing this in. All right, so we're doing really good here. So we're just getting those greens in, right? They're just a nice dark green. That's fun. And you can see the brush directionality is actually holding the shapes of these little cactus pods that I've done in. So if you'll notice that I use the brush, like look, I'm going to brush down, and I'm letting that streak actually help sketch in the pods. There we go. So we've got those sketched in. I think we're ready. We can get the last little fellow in, right? So it was a lot of decision about where I was going to put the 2 flowers. Like it really stressed me out when I signed this. I'm like, where are they going to go? And then I finally found that spot. So once I have all that in, I do want to dry it again. So let's dry that real quick.
Okay. So, while she's painting that, I'm going to click over here and see. I like how there's sort of you can see the brush strokes in that. And sometimes we'll call that painterliness. And that's a lot of the reasons why you'll see her do a couple of layers, is that the paint is just naturally prone to do that because it's somewhat transparent or translucent. And the swatches on the outside of your paint, like over here, oh, she didn't have any there. But I was talking about the translucency of the paint and how I like the natural brush strokes of this that you put in there. But anyway,
Yeah.
take it from there.
No, I'm just using that to my advantage. I needed that advantage, so I took it.
Now,
I took it.
on the
The
tube there
advantage.
in your hand, can you show the little swatch where you can see the translucency on the bottle? On the tube?
Oh, yeah. So, all right, let's look at phthalo green and maybe some cad red. So, good paint companies will swatch with actual paint on there, and they'll have a black line underneath. And that black line will tell you how transparent something is. So you can see this is not transparent. This is somewhat transparent, and this is somewhat transparent. The other place that you'll see it is in the opacity rating. So like here, if this is completely transparent and this is opaque, phthalo blue and phthalo green are just one step up. And you'll see that's similar in the golden line. The really good paint companies are usually pretty close to each other. And so you can always look at that tube to find out. Now, if you can't afford those two paints, but they carry them in your art store, you can use them, reading the tube as information to help you understand other paints a little bit better.
Yeah.
Little trick there. I'm gonna get some just my pure burnt sienna, and I'm gonna come here and I just loaded it, no water on my brush. This is the trick, no water on my brush, and I'm just gonna come in and roughly, and I might even change my brush strokes. So some of these might be down because I'm trying to talk about this rough terracotta-ness.
Now,
roughness.
What is the difference between a brush loaded with paint straight from the tube with no water and dry brushing?
Neither, because you put no water in the brush.
So they're
yeah, that would be similar. You're dry brushing straight from the tube, or you're dry brushing a mix.
gotcha. So you're just
The dry brushing just refers to, are you adding water to the brush, or are you painting the brush fairly dry? And in this particular case, we're painting the brush fairly dry. Now I'm gonna just go ahead and get some black into here. It's much darker this time. I'll let the brown mix into it, and I'm gonna come back and enforce this bit of the pot. Look how I'm going. Now it's kind of cool and interesting and rough. This surface is smooth, and my other surface, the canvas, was rough. The canvas actually was helping me. And that'll be true in some cases. Get a little blacker black. Yeah, we're doing. We're just showing it. Come underneath here. You can get the brown into it and just come across. Paint pots. You can paint pots all day. Paint pots all day. Cute little pots all day. You
all
could put
filled with
designs on
cacti.
your pots. You could. I'm rinsing and I'm drying off. See, I'm drying off. Now I'm going to take a little of my burnt sienna into my white. I'm going to mix them together, and that's going to give me this sort of sun-bleached brown. Let's come across here and add this sort of little shaping. Look how we're doing. Have fun. And I'll brush down, I'll go stroke down, and then I'll come across. So I'm just using that roughness. And this time I'll add a little more white into it, and I'll just brush. See, my pressure's super light. Look how light that pressure is. So these are two different surfaces that I'm dry brushing on. The tooth of the canvas pressing helps me like skip over the surface, but even on the smooth panel, I'm still able to dry brush. As long as you're managing your expectations of what you're expecting your products to do, and you understand how they perform, you won't ever be in that place where you're like, oh, am I just wrong? Because you're not. You're not just wrong. You are not wrong at all. Okay. I am going to get that little filbert. Maybe.
What is a filbert?
I don't know where I put it.
Everyone's been loving
Oh,
your
there it
necklace,
is.
by the
Okay.
way.
Boom de boom boom. Boom boom.
What you need?
I'm going to get a small bright.
Okay.
So this is a sharp-edged Ruby Satin. This is a number 6. I have just put my other brushes somewhere else, so that's why I'm grabbing this. But this will work. I'm going to get this a little bit wet, and I'm going to mix my blue and my green together and make a deep phthalo turquoise. Can you see how I'm doing that right there?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to come underneath my pot, and I'm going to create a little ellipse of shadow. It comes just slightly off the edge here and scoops around. And I'm going to use the brush. Look at that. To kind of help me sketch in that ellipse. So I just stroke back and I pull forward and I swing down and around and come underneath the pot. Pull back, stroke forward, swing down around and come underneath the pot. All the way to the little edge. Because objects, what do? They cast shadows. We have to have shadows being cast by our solid objects, or they won't seem like they're three-dimensional. And this isn't even about realism painting. It's just about recognizing that you've got to, make those objects have shadows and have weight. Now I've added a little black to my mix, and I'll come very close and I'll make this second kind of little loop shadow. There you go. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
So what's close is a little bit darker, and what's kind of cast out, so that looks really nice.
Yeah.
Love that. Rinse this out. Now I'm going to put more green out. More green.
While you're putting that out, where did your necklace come from?
Came from Stephanie Barlow. She found it in New Orleans. It's a leaf that has been laser cut with a unicorn.
It's really pretty.
Set in glass. I know. Really like that. I had to wear it today. Had to wear it today, and thanks to Stephanie Barlow for grabbing that. That was really sweet. Now this next part of the cactus, I'm going to just load up with just pure phthalo. And I'm going to start coming here and talking about this maybe a little bit more. And you can see again, because this color is transparent, look what it does. It's like glazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what you're kind of always dealing with, is the glazing of this. Now, I'll get a little yellow into my mix right here, and I can start to talk about the ribs. So I'm taking this little yellow, I'm working the edge, and I'm dragging it down. See how we're doing? And let's just blend that in. Let's softly blend that in. Get a little more of it. And let's say right here I've got one. Comes down. Right here I've got one. And this outer edge could have one. So I'm just going to take some of that down. I'm talking about these little ribs. And then you can go right back into the green. And look, I'm just going to blend. So what I want is about 2 values of green. This yellow green to this pure phthalo green. We're blending them together. And we should be able to see a subtle shift between those colors. Can you guys see a subtle shift between those colors?
I can, but can you say that 3 times fast?
I don't think I can.
Don't do it on YouTube because I don't have a delay stop.
Oh, not today? Okay.
Well, that would be interesting to have to go back and like censor bleep you.
All right, I'm going to add a little white to this green-yellow mix. Can you guys see that? And I'm going to come right back here, and I'm going to come to this outside edge, and I'm going to just really define that. Let's just paint that sort of in and really nicely think about that. I'm going to wipe off my brush, and I'm just going to blend it. If I've got to come back with my green, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to just fuss with this, creating a dark green value on the interior of these little cactus ribs and this lighter green value on the ribs. Ribbles probably have a different name. But the internet will tell us, because the internet always shares. I love the internet. Crazy place. Crazy place. All right, I'm just blending this in. And I'm just blending that in. And you can see what I'm trying to do is create this highlight where the ribs are in this sense of a darker value. So see how I'm building that up and creating that shape? Now let's come back one last time, and like this time let's get a little bit of the green and brown. That's right here. See, that's darker. And let's make sure that close to this rib we have a darker value to pop that contrast. See the contrast? I'm going to come right in the center here and pop that contrast. And right there at that section, I'm going to even make a darker color, kind of be an outline close to this pod. See how I'm doing? And bring that right there. Starting to see a little cactus pot, aren't you?
Yeah.
Fun stuff. Guess what? We get
What?
to do that everywhere. Fun. All right, let's get this little one in.
While you're doing that,
Yeah, because it's really the same thing on all of them, but I'm going to talk everyone through it. But it's the same thing everywhere.
well, Lisa's little brush was asking, why do you, the Art Sherpa, love art so much, especially painting?
I love art so much. Well, the reason I love art so much is that it allows me to express things about the world and how I feel that words and other methods of communication just can't. And it allows me to talk to people in a very special way through this visual language. So sometimes I can even overcome, the kinds of things that causes people to fight or disagree, like the difference in how we see the world or politics or faith or culture where we're from. Art doesn't exist within those boundaries. And so it lets me have that conversation with somebody and maybe we can find something in common. It always helps me see things more compassionately and from a more introspective space. And here's the most important one. Because you're a little brush, so the whole world seems noisy, but it's really noisy. There's just a bazillion people telling you what to think, what to do, and how to be. And art lets you hear yourself because there isn't a right answer for everybody. Like the right answer for me, not be the right answer for you. Like I really, really like rhubarb pie, and you might be like, no, chocolate pie. Like it's that basic. So it lets us hear ourselves and find the right answer for ourselves in a world that's trying to tell us what we should think the right answer is. That's a big thing. Okay. So I'm going to go back into my, it's deep for me. Okay, y'all,
It
it's deep.
is. Well, it was, there's no easy answer there. Like no short answer, I should say.
I'm going to outline this whole one in yellow. See what I'm doing? I'm outlining it in yellow. I'll go ahead and just sort of feather that in so we have that little. And then here in the center, right, let me get a drop of water. And I'm going to change out my water to clean water. This water's getting kind of dirty.
You have
Yep.
you have enough water there?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good.
You were prepared for me today.
Well,
You were like, I don't want to go get water in the middle of the show. Now, right here, I'm going to do the similar thing where the ribs come from the top and they bow out and they curl down. And they come from the top and they bow out and they curl down. And what you're going to see is that you get that nice little perspective of the open ribs facing you, but you still get the sense of the curve of the cactus. And I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Now I get a little white into this mix. Blending this out. Playing with those highlights. Rinse out because I want my clean green paint again. Come right in here and really blend these things. And this is just really what we're doing.
yeah.
We're just having this wonderful time. I'll tell you the flat pair ones too, the ones with the flat pads, they're just as fun to paint too because those flat pads are a joy to paint.
Yeah.
And I like painting the spines. There's a lot of different ways to do that. I'm going to get a little of my dark green here. So many ways to do that are amazing and fantastic. And I can always come right here and get a little bit of the white on there. Make sure that I'm talking about those ribbles. Just feathering. See, I'm just trying to create these steps of value from the light to the dark. Wiping off my brush, but not rinsing. Loading with phthalo green and coming back.
Now,
Just feathering and shading.
Kyra, man,
Kyra.
I'm
Hi,
sure I'm
Kyra.
gonna mispronounce her name, but she was asking, do you have to put dark colors first?
No. But with acrylics, it's very helpful. So watercolors tend to go from lightest color to darkest value, and acrylics tend to work darkest value to lightest value. And the reason of that is that that's a very successful method for acrylic artists, but I've seen a really good artists do it other ways. So it's not a have to. It's a highly effective method. And try to think of it like that in art, especially as you go out and you take different classes, because you will have people that have to speak very intensely about things being right or wrong. But if you keep it in your pocket that this is just a technique, it's just a method, and you're going to see people do it a lot of different ways, and that's okay. You'll be very mellow in your art journey and enjoy it a lot more.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so I've got that going there. So those are some ribs, right?
Mm-hmm. Those are happy little prickly succulents.
They are
Or
getting there, right?
cacti,
The
or
cacti, little fellows.
they could be self-identifying attack helicopters. I don't know.
Well, that bird certainly was self-identified attack helicopter. I think that show I was watching was Little But Fierce. Does anybody watch this on Facebook? Does anyone know the name of the show? It's on my mind because I can't remember.
I don't watch anything on Facebook.
I know, but this is a really good show. You should watch this. They're
I-
short. They're amazing. It's like chicken soup for the soul, but with animals. I love it so much. Just first, it makes me very mad at humanity, and then it makes me love humanity. So it's like a full roller coaster. Lynn and I just like power watched a bunch. All right. So now I've got that nice green cactus painted in, so I can get right into my yellow color. Just come in here and do a very similar thing now. But maybe this time this one goes like this, and then it has maybe a pad like that and a pad like this. So maybe a little less pad. So I changed it up here. Of course, it was a longer, skinnier pad that I did this with. So we'll see if this works in the new process. I don't know if it will. Or maybe, let me think about this right here for a second. I gotta sketch something out. I think I changed the shape of this pad, so I've got to change the shape of the rib. So I'm gonna take the white, follow what I do. Trust me, I got a plan.
You have a plan?
Yeah, because well, if they were long and skinny and had so many ribs, I'm gonna take this one here and I'm gonna add one here, and then maybe add the second one out here, and then this last one out here. You just want it to be different.
See
how we're doing?
Yeah.
Pick this out here. Boop, boop, boop.
Otherwise, that symmetry could make everything look weird.
Just stagnant and boring. And we're not boring cactuses, are we? Enjoy. Did anyone shout out the name of the show? I can't be the only one that watches this.
Maybe?
It's so good.
Okay, I don't know. See, the thing is, I wouldn't know the name of a show if...
That's true. You don't even really watch TV with me. You come and get your feet rubbed and fall asleep. That's what you do.
Well, maybe. That could be very possible.
I watched like all of Game of Thrones with him, but I can't talk about it because it would be a spoiler.
Oh, I don't.
Because he just has no idea what's going on. And he's always like, can you tell me what happened? It's like 2 seasons later. I'm like, you slept through it. You don't get to know. Those of us that have watched get to know. You don't get to know.
Which is, I'm sorry, I was doing stuff.
No, you were sleeping. And I was rubbing your feet, and you missed the whole season, and that is what happened. Could add a little bit of highlight to the top of this little fellow. Let's see how that looks. Oh, so that's looking pretty good.
Heckled by my wife.
Who else are you going to be heckled by if not by your wife? I mean. So you can really see the transparency of phthalo green. And that's why some people like different greens. Maybe, because phthalo is a modern color. It tends to be transparent. It is light fast, though. And it is non-toxic, which let me tell you, in the world of greens is a big deal. Because green used to be super deadly. Or not light fast. Anything that lasted a minute would kill you. And then, even if it was bright green, then it was just a dye and it wouldn't last very long. Okay, so we got that nice dark value. Let's get into our little yellows here. Painting little cactus pot on a Sunday. Yeah. How good is that? Is that good? Oh, oh. Will you like it too? See, I'm just enjoying it. I'll feather that little highlight down there down. He's more in the sunlight. And anywhere you feel like you've lost your ribs, you can come back and define them a little bit. Right? I've got sort of like yellow and white mix, and I'm just kind of defining my little ribbles. Making sure that contrast is there. All right, look at that. Cactus pots.
Yep.
Now, I am going to dry this, paint my flowers, and show you how to do the dots, and then you'll have done this beautiful graphic piece and probably be able to paint many more like it in many different types of pots, because this round pot, tall pot, short pot, square pot, all kind of pot.
So, while she's doing that, I'm going to say, yep, this is looking pretty cool. I'm actually really excited about how all the little guys are coming together on this. So, yeah, didn't think she was going to take very long to actually get that done.
You didn't think so?
No, I was just saying, I think they turned out really cute. They're just,
I think so
did a
too.
little pass over here on them. So they can see they're looking pretty cute.
I'm going to mix up a little of my phthalo turquoise just with my brush over here because it's nice to actually darken quinacridone with phthalo turquoise, weirdly enough. And let's see if I can remember how I do this little crazy. I'm going to get a little bit of this color over here, and you can see it makes a purple. Even though it's turquoise, it makes this great purple, and that's really something I like about quinacridone. All right. So how I do this is I'm going to come here and I'm going to press in. And I'm going to pull down and I'm going to make another little one right here. And as I come around, I might get a little of my red and my white. I'm going to just come in and press. Press right here. Pick up a little white, that's going to be important. And I'm going to curl this around. Right there, and then it's going to have another little curl next to it. I know you guys are like, what? More of this? Yeah. So that kind of shows the curl in that perspective. I might want to pull this here more. Round that out right here. Grab some just pure quinacridone and come in here and fill this in. These strokes, and you can see how each stroke kind of feels a little bit like a petal. I'm going to rinse out. Once I have this crazy little ball shaped out, I'm going to get a little of my pink and a lot of my white. And I'll come back and I'll talk about some of these little petals a bit more. And then maybe on this one I'll get more of my quinacridone. And let's open these up. So we're going to go open, open, open. And then I am going to bring a couple pulled in like this. Maybe I want a little more white on that. So you can always come back. There we go. Look at that. Starting to be this little crazy flower bloom, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. All right. So this petal is going to curve back and down. And it's got a little friend. And there it is. That is this basic crazy little...
What brush are you using there?
This is the number 2 filbert. This is how I'm pulling off the roses and a lot of stuff that I'm painting. This filbert edge is nice. It's not necessary. I see people paint incredible stuff with their fingers, Miss Iris Scott. So remember, the art is inside you. That being said, a good tool can go a long way. I like the filberts for the way they blend, for the way they do portraiture, and the way that they do florals. These are areas where you need this soft and blendy edge to accomplish it. Okay, let's keep going. Let me get a little of my purple in there. And we're going to come here, and I'm going to, at first, just kind of get this basic shape. See how I'm doing? So it's like a curve, and I'm going to just curve down the ball at first. We're curving the ball in, and I'm doing the purple. I'm going to have to come around and layer some petals over it, but I got to get this streaky little ball in. That's the ball of the flower. Rinse out. Now, I'm going to get a little bit of my red and a little bit of my white together. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to just pull one, and it stops right about there. I'm doing these in perspective. Maybe this one comes around here and this one comes right there. You guys see that go happen? Pretty cool. Maybe I'll pull this in a little bit. I'm going to do a short mark there and another one. So I'm just trying to talk about the perspective of how these petals might be laying it. I'm going to come right here. Open this flower up. Not pretty. In this particular case, I'll go lighter. I will just curve these around. I'll just make sure that these finish up here. That's a nice tight look. You guys like that?
Oh yeah, this is really cool.
So pretty, right? So easy, so pretty. And again, if you've never painted a flower before, or done any of these curved strokes, or any of this, when I say easy, what I mean is, if you take a piece of scratch paper and practice it 10 or 20 times, even if you've never done it, it's going to start clicking for you and you're going to be able to put it on your canvas.
You're almost done, huh?
Yeah. I just got to put dots.
Oh, well, I mean, like, this is going to be under an hour. We're like 10 till the top of the hour.
Wow. And we did a lot of talking, too.
We did some talking. That's what I was going to say. Like, you know, you're just...
Look at us go. Yeah, I'm going to do a weird thing. I'm going to take a little bit. I really, really don't think one should carry paint.
Oh, yeah, you want to get your little arm palette or
something. I might bring this just over here. All right, guys, because I don't think it's good. And here, I'll move my dotty thing, my little dot of paint, closer to this. I think it's a bummer to have to carry these dots, a big difference. If I was doing dot art or any art where this is involved, you want to make sure that your surface, your tools are close. So this is what I'm doing here. So I'm going to go dot. Now, if I didn't have a dot tool, I could use the back of a detail brush. No problem. I could use a toothpick. And I could use just a very pointed detail brush dipping in there. Now, I happen to like this little tool. And it's in my brush line. In full transparency. But it's only in there because I wanted this exact effect. And what you're going to see is that the dots also help define where the spines and the ribbing of the cactus are. I thought a lot about doing the fine hairs, and I am going to do one where we really explore the spines. But I loved the way that these dots just talked about that little cluster of fibers in each pod. There we go. Do we love this?
Yeah.
And I like that the dots are sometimes different sizes. Because I think natural things have variables and come in different sizes, right? Make that big. So like if ever I get a dot and I'm like, oh, I want it to be bigger, I just go back and make it bigger. Don't be like, oh no. Okay, that dot I have to.
You have some rogue dotting over there.
I did rogue dot, so I'm going to rinse this out. And I'm going to grab this and I'm going to just...
I liked the rogue dot. I don't know.
No, it needs to be on its little ridge.
Okay.
Boop, it's moved.
Oh, you de-rogued it.
Yeah. No, I rogued it again!
See, it rogued out.
It doesn't get to do that. I'm in charge of my painting. It is not in charge of my painting.
By right of rogue.
No, by right of rogue. Only by right of survival. Right of combat. This isn't combat. This is just being a pain in the bottom dot. I come back to this dot I cannot dot in a second.
De-dottable.
Right.
All right, you got 5 minutes left to dot your dot. Oh, you did it. It stayed dotted.
All right. Now, at the end of all of this, take a nice signature brush. This is a monogram liner. I think it's a great signature brush. I'm going to get a little bit of my pink and a little bit of that white paint that I had. I'm going to turn my little canvas on the side here and just very delicately sign my name. So it's there and it's legible, but it's not some big like compositional hole that I've got to deal with. All right. Hope this is not the last cactus you will do, and there will be lives up on the schedule. Lots of fun stuff is coming. But here's the important thing. Be good to yourself. Seriously, cut yourself a break on something this week that you have been hard on yourself about. And be good to each other. Let something go with another human being. It will lighten your spirit, enlighten your heart, and make your life just a little bit better. And that's all we need at the end of the day is things to get a little bit better. I want to see you guys at the easel really soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.